How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Strange Days. This is from 1995 and directed by Kathryn Bigelow, who I've seen another one of her films, Near Dark, this really cool vampire movie, so cool to know it's the same person. This movie also stars Ralph Fiennes, Angela Bassett, and Juliette Lewis. Got their faces on the cover there. And also, the story was created by James Cameron. Really cool sci-fi guy. You guys know him for Terminator and Aliens. Pretty cool. He's also the movie's producer. And I think at the time he was actually married to the director, Kathryn Bigelow. So cool to see them working together. Now, this movie I had heard about a little bit. I picked it up and it had been in my to-watch pile for a while. I mean, I hear people recommend it, cool sci-fi concept. You throw in James Cameron's name, that's going to get me at least a little bit interested, or at least old Cameron. But also, what got me to watch it now is the internet reminded me that this was a New Year's Eve movie. The movie takes place New Year's Eve, 1999, about to go into the new millennia, 2000. So yeah, I was looking up movies that take place on New Year's Eve, needed something to watch for that night, and this one came up, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to check that out. So yeah, a New Year's Eve movie, that's pretty cool. Anyway, a little bit of the plot. I'm not going to do any major spoilers. I'm going to talk about the setup, but not the payoff. Little bit of the plot. It's New Year's Eve, 1999, going into the year 2000, and Los Angeles is in a pretty bad place. There's crime everywhere, and in turn, the police have kind of overstepped their power and have become a controlling military. So yeah, there's a conflict between the police and the citizens, and parts of the city are literally on fire, and other parts have big tanks going through them. It's not great, and people are starting to talk that the year 2000 will be the end of the world. There's a really famous line towards the end of the film, what does it all matter? The world's gonna be over in 10 minutes anyway. Really cool headspace. Well, maybe not cool, but interesting, you know? But anyway, you get the main guy. He's a former cop, and he's really down on his luck, and is continually in a bunch of nasty spots. He's constantly in debt. He's getting beaten up regularly. He has this trick where he carries some fake Rolexes on him, and he tries to bribe people like, hey, let me off the hook, you can have my Rolex. It never works, and he gets beaten up a lot. He is really kind of a down-on-his-luck scoundrel, you know? But what he does for a living is he sells memories, which is an interesting concept where people can wear this thing on their head. They call it a squid because of the little arms, and that will record their memory, and then people can play it back into their head and feel it like they were really there. It's not just video but better. It's legitimately feeling like you're somewhere doing something that someone in the past did. Now, they say that the government secretly developed this technology, so it's super illegal because the government doesn't want people to have this power. There's going to be lots of themes of government overstep and oppression in this movie. But yeah, he's selling this to people, and of course, they're honest about what people would use this technology for. A lot of that is sex, and people having fantasies about that. They can feel like they're really doing it, but of course, they never actually really did anything. Same with crime and adventure, you know? you're gonna rob a store, might as well record it so someone else can feel that later, and the people watching the tape didn't actually rob a store, but they still got that thrill, you know? Although that being said, it did have to happen the one initial time, you know? So it is about, you know, video, about media, about dark fantasies in a lot of respect. But yeah, the guy is the guy that sells new memories. It's an interesting concept. But anyway, he is kind of trapped in memories himself. You see, there's one aspect where it's such a sensation that they can get kind of addictive, and he's lost his girlfriend, and now because he has all these tapes of her, he literally can't forget her and is going to spend so much of his time literally reliving the past. And the thing is, the girlfriend left him for a record producer so that she can make it big as a rock star. And one of this guy's other clients, this rap singer and activist, has been murdered. So there's a bit of a murder mystery here, but it doesn't really get into it right away. We get a lot of shots of him living his life, trying to survive in grungy LA, and it, you know, it takes its time. This movie is 2 hours, 25 minutes more or less, and it really does take the time to show you this character, show you this world, and it does get going, it does build to something, but it doesn't rush it, and it's gonna let you live in this atmosphere for quite some time. You also get his best friend, Angela Bassett's character, who is a limo driver, and she is kind of fed up with him and his tricks, but eventually will notice when he starts to get onto something big and say, hey, you're my friend, I don't want you to get into trouble, and also, this is really big and you can't screw it up. And the big thing is, and what sets this plot going, is he will get tapes sent to him related to the crime, and they're all in some way tied to a series of murders that is going on in LA with huge potential ramifications. But of course, we can't really trust the police. What do we do? How do we solve the mystery and set everything to right? And yeah, it really does become a film noir story, you know? The down-on-his-luck grungy detective, the femme fatale that ran off with the gangster-like character, someone's been murdered and there's whispers all throughout the streets. Film noir, but it's in color and has a sci-fi element. Very much a tech noir, a little bit of cyberpunk. The thing is, the memories are a sci-fi element, but they're not the biggest, most important thing, so, you know, yeah, it's tech noir, but don't quite expect Blade Runner here. Only 5 years in the relative future, you know? But they really could have, you know, talking about the memory, it's a really interesting concept, literally reliving something that actually happened. They don't overuse it. You really could have made a 90-minute movie that was just 100% in the memory concept, but when you do get to see it, which again isn't all the time, it really is interesting. You know, it's shot through a first-person point of view because it's memory, right? And you get to see like the hands in front of the camera, you get to see the camera moving throughout the scene, how the character would, and it is really interesting. And they talk about other elements, you know, like you gotta be careful or you'll fry your brain if you don't have the recording software on right. Or, you know, it being addictive, or the killer finding a creative way to torture someone using the memory feed. And it gets really cool and interesting, especially later on in the movie. You know, you need evidence from a memory, but it's a hard memory to watch, and you're not just watching it, you're living it. That's pretty creative and pretty creepy. But also, in addition to sci-fi concepts, this has heavy, weighty, real-world themes behind it. Like I said, the police has become a military. Their power and oppression is becoming unchecked. This is the government doing whatever the heck they want, and it's going to have negative ramifications on the real people, different groups in different ways, all really, really sad. But yeah, there's several parts in here where they're talking about something and you get to see how terrible it is, but also you remind yourself, wait, this movie was from 1995? There's so many elements in this movie that would relate to things that happened later, and sadly some of them very recently. And yeah, it is a really poignant political thriller that really does hit home in several ways. I really don't want to spoil how the movie ends or what it's revealed, but lots of things in this movie still super relevant. And yeah, it really is crazy this movie was made over 25 years ago. And even things like the memory recording. You can see the recorded memory has parallel to recorded video, and even nowadays, people have video recorders in their pocket. You know, I don't know how you could have predicted that, but it really is more relevant now, and it's crazy. And, you know, nowadays, there are so many politically charged movies that don't really do it right. This movie really does it right. The sci-fi concept helps reinvent it, where it's new and interesting and talking from a unique perspective, but it talks about the concepts intelligently, and they use them to further the plot and not to sideline the plot. And overall, the result of how politics is talked about in this movie is powerful and not distracting. And it's going to be my go-to whenever I see a bad politically charged film. From now on, I'm probably going to say, go watch Strange Days and see how to do it right. But beside the big weighty topic, there is still plenty of ground level fun stuff. Like I said, tons of atmosphere, a little bit futuristic without going too heavy, grungy LA, our main character running around, getting into tight spots, getting himself out of them, some fist fights, some car chases, one really cool scene where a flaming car goes off a bridge. It's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of cool film noir stuff going on here. When it comes to sci-fi, the movies I'm the biggest fans of are things like Alien and Terminator. Again, you can see Cameron's influence there. And also things like Blade Runner, you know? So I really do like the darker, grungy sci-fi. And even though this isn't super sci-fi heavy, like I said, kind of just a pinch with the memory machines, it's still the grungy sci-fi I really do like. And overall, I would definitely recommend this. A really solid concept, really good theme, really good atmosphere. And yeah, it is roughly 2 hours, 25 minutes. So get it, just, you know, strap in and go on a big film noir adventure. I was lucky enough where I started this movie at 9 o'clock New Year's Eve. And, you know, 2 hours, 9 to 10 to 11, 25 minutes, that put me finishing the movie with just enough time to get ready to stream the whole end of the year thing. So that was a pretty fun New Year's Eve. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my sci-fi playlist. I've done things like I have a review for Blade Runner in there and an Alien Blu-ray collection. I've talked about quite a bit of sci-fi, So if you want to see more, you can click there to see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.